Welcome, everybody. This is our third non-dual meditation class. I almost said medication class. It's funny. Meditation class. Thanks for being here. And my name is Mira Funk. I am a licensed clinical social worker, psychotherapist, and psychedelic guide. That's probably where the medication part came from. Anyway, we're going to do some meditation today. So my usual structure is we'll start with some relaxation, which I find is pretty essential for meditation, especially in today's busy world. It's good to just have some buffer time to settle in, settle your nervous system. And then we'll get into the more meditative part. And then I'll just give a very brief commentary on what we did. And then I'll open up the floor for you guys to share whatever you'd like. And that could be questions, that could be reports from the meditation, frustrations, troubleshooting, whatever it is. I'm all ears to hear your experience. So, all right, so let's get started. So this will be another closed eye meditation. So just begin by closing your eyes and settling into a supportive posture. You can imagine a string gently pulling you up from the top of the head. So just helping to elongate and straighten your back. And this helps to cultivate attentional brightness and presence and alertness. And then we also want to cultivate relaxation. So inviting stillness and rest throughout your body. In this way, we kind of strike a balance in a relationship with gravity. It's like you're resisting gravity a bit to elevate your spine, to stay upright so you don't just kind of crumple and fall asleep. It's important. And for the rest of your body, it's not supporting up your back and your core. You can just let gravity do its work. Just really let your legs become heavy and essentially limp, just really relaxed. And same with your arms and your shoulders, the muscles of your face. Just let gravity win. Just bring it all down, nice and loose. And the breath can be your ally in relaxation. The first thing that's often helpful is just inviting your breath down into your belly. So it's often hanging out up in the upper chest throughout the day as we might be stressed or anxious. And so inviting the breath down into the belly invites calm and ease. And I want you to get in touch with some aspect of your breath, some texture of your breath, whatever feels accessible. For some people, this might be the stream of air around your nostrils or on your upper lip. For others, it might be the sensation of your belly expanding on the in-breath, rising and then falling on the out-breath. Or maybe it's listening to the sound of the breath, just like ocean waves in the distance, nice calming sound. Whatever sensation just helps you connect with the texture of breathing. Just let your mind rest there and notice it unfolding. Noticing how each breath is unique, different from the previous one. And if you find your mind wandering about, that's no problem. You can just bring it back to the breath. Not in a kind of tight, forceful way. It's more the opposite. It's like your mind has gotten a little too tight and you're just relaxing that to come back to this landing pad of the breath. And just letting your breath sink you deeper into relaxation. Okay, good. And now we're going to gently shift gears into today's non-dual meditation. Part of a sequence building off our previous two sessions, and yet you don't have to have experienced those. It's okay if this is your first time. And we're going to be exploring this sense of dissolving the elements of the room, the furniture, the architecture around you, and relaxing into more of a sense of effortless, just floating in space, in awareness. And so, repeating and building on what we've done before, we start with your feet, just noticing the sensations, especially on the bottoms of your feet, or really any part of your body that's in contact with the surface of the floor, depending on your posture. For most of you, that's probably your feet. It may not be. And just noticing those sensations and using your attention, just like we did with the breath, to notice the texture of the sensations. So not just thinking about your feet, but really noticing little tingles or warmth, dullness, texture of a sock, whatever. Just noticing. And then starting this inquiry below those sensations of your feet. What is there below? What is there below your feet? These sensations that is a sensation in your nervous system, a tactile sensation, as opposed to simply a kind of memory trace or an abstraction or a visual. And you might notice your mind may conjure up images of the floor, whatever structures are beneath the floor. Maybe there's another floor, maybe there's foundation, the earth, etc. And just noticing how the quality of those sensations feel different. There's a kind of wispy, abstract quality. They are traces in memory, they are visuals, holding on to a certain image of what you think is there, and different in a way from the vivid immediacy of what your skin is actually contacting on the bottoms of your feet. And so again, when you look below those sensations on the bottoms of your feet for what is there as a body sensation, you may come up empty. There may not be anything to find. And for some of you, there may be some feeling of like the floor dropping away, something that once felt solid, just kind of melting into air. And if that's not happening naturally, for this style of meditation, you can actually use your imagination as a tool along the way. So you can simply imagine there is simply space. And this way, recognizing that the image of the floor as a kind of mental image, a kind of active imagination. So if it's not just disappearing into nothingness, why not replace it with another mental image just to show yourself that that's all it is in this moment? And so there may be some sense of space beneath your feet instead of the solidity that was once there. And then, as we've done before, you can extend the same inquiry in all directions, actually. Last time we noticed the top of the head, so you can notice the sensations on the top of your head. Maybe there's a feeling of the pulse or some heat, a stream of air, an itch, whatever's there. Just noticing that patch of sensations. And then again, inquiring, okay, now what is, if I take the arrow of inquiry above my head, what's up there? What's above my head? And your mind may generate, oh, there's the ceiling, there's air, there's sky above that, etc. And again, just recognizing, okay, yeah, but are you feeling any of that right now in your skin, in your nervous system, in your body? Or are those simply memories, assumptions of what's there, visuals? And just letting go of those memory traces, you may experience just simply the simplicity of your body sensations on your head, and then some mysterious sense of nothingness above you as you just allow the ceiling to disappear, or perhaps again replacing it with space. And you can continue this process in all directions, actually. So you can just play around with this. Just pick a spot on your body. It doesn't matter where it is. Whatever is calling out your attention. And just notice, what does it feel like in that part of my body? Let me zoom in and just get in touch with whatever heat or coolness or pain or dullness, tickle or prickle or whatever. And then again, extend that arrow of inquiry. Now, what's behind that feeling? What's in front of it? What's above it? What's below it? Noticing how your mind will conjure up the memories of the furniture, the room, or perhaps if you're outside, you might have trees or rocks or whatever. So whatever's in your environment, your mind will generate a model to orient you where you are, what's around you, relative position of things. And this is just a simplification, just letting go of assumptions and coming more into an immediate, direct experience of what's arising as these vivid sensations. In particular, we're focusing on body sensations right now. And just focusing on the body sensations, you might have this curious feeling as you continue the sweep of the investigation of everything just disappearing around you. There can be a very vivid, that's the word, sense of your body. And then everything else around just dissolving into space, openness, nothingness. And again, if you need to, using your imagination. It can be skillful and creative and playful, working with our mind to let go of assumptions. Sometimes we need to generate something new to shake us out of our old model. So why not imagine you're floating in the sky, floating in space, if that's helpful. And you can notice more subtle aspects of this. If you're sitting in a chair, it's very interesting because usually your mind really wants to make that chair, even though you're only touching the surface of it. Your mind wants to fill in all of the volume of the chair based on your visual memories of the chair because you've sat in it a bunch of times, you've seen it a bunch of times. And there's some sense of it has to be there. It's interesting just to challenge that. Again, it's not adding anything, it's just a simplification. It's more subtractive, just noticing, okay, what's my direct experience in my body? Okay, there's these pressury sensations in contact with the so-called chair. And my mind really wants to make the fact there has to be a chair and there's gravity and there's the normal force pushing against it, Newton's laws of motion, blah, 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 blah. Letting go of all that stuff, you might just come into this very just innocent, simple feeling, almost as if you're experiencing a body for the first time. How strange, these mysterious pressury sensations on my back. And what is causing that? I'm going to let myself not know right now. I'm going to let myself just float in space and just be just noticing this very just simple layer of sensory experience, giving my mind a break from all of the physics and the structure, the orientation that are usually present. And perhaps noticing this as relaxation. It's okay if you don't feel relaxed. However you feel is totally fine. You can notice that. But often when we notice our mind creating a lot of things, and then we give our mind permission to stop creating them, or if you're using your imagination, you're creating something a little more spacious, a little less complex than a bunch of furniture. And so there's an easefulness there. It's just like a muscle that was tightened up, or like a bunch of browser tabs on your internet browser that you're just closing, closing, closing. It's just simple, simple, simple. Using less energy. And just coming into just floating in space, just being, the feeling of being. No need to orient, nothing to generate or solve. Hopefully, a familiar feeling, something perhaps you experience while just taking a bath, or you've ever been in a flotation tank, or perhaps looking up at the sky. Just the natural rest of being. So far, we've just focused on body sensations. Let's gently invite in some of our other senses too, starting with the visual sense, still with eyes closed, so don't open your eyes, keep them closed. But see what it's like to look through your closed eyelids, as if you're looking at something in the distance. And you may notice there are no corners or edges, no near or far. Just a soft field of openness, maybe some dapples of light. And there can be a feeling similar to that body relaxation of just looking into space. It's like looking up at the night sky, looking out at the ocean horizon. Instead of seeing something, you're just seeing, just relaxing into the feeling of being in that sense field. And there may again be a sense of relaxation there. And let's also now invite in the sense of sound. So tuning in now to your hearing. And you may notice sounds that are close, your breath, my voice, and then extend your hearing out to sounds that sound far away. Maybe there's some birds or traffic or wind or something. And keep going. Keep extending out farther and farther, as if trying to hear something way in the distance. And you might notice you don't hit an edge. Your sense of sound cannot hear where it ends. So as you try to hear out, to find that edge, you find just openness, boundlessness, edgelessness. And there may be some feeling of like a infinite soundscape just opening up around you. And finally, we can blur all these together into a kind of synesthesia, an overlap, an inter kind of cross pollination of the senses. So we started with the body, right? So you can notice feeling into your body sensations and noticing the space or the nothingness that is beyond that. There's nothing to find when you search for tactile sensations outside of your body. There's nothing there. There's only your body sensations because you're not touching the ceiling or the furniture across the room or anything. So there's that sense of spacious openness. And then you have the spacious openness through your eyes as your eyes are closed, just looking into deep space. And also hearing out into space. So you might find that all of these interbraid together into this singular fabric that we might just call being or awareness, consciousness. And just hanging out, just floating in space. Giving your mind a respite from the usual problem solving, map making, image making, just resting in these very simple feelings of being. Okay, good. So I invite you all to slowly open your eyes. And I say so slowly because sometimes when we open our eyes fast, there can be some sense of just popping right back into our standard dualistic frame. And there might be some sense of, oh, that was a cool journey we went on to this special place. And it turns out that that special place is just your mind. It's just a consciousness, it's awareness. And these qualities of openness, spaciousness are always available in theory. Of course, someone's life has other plans and get distracted and things shift and change. But yeah, in a moment, as you start to recognize it, And especially as it really connects deep into your nervous system, it feels like it rewires your operating system. There is the sense of this being more or less a baseline kind of experience that's deeply transformative. And so I like to emphasize that as the integration. When you open your eyes, it's still here, right? And even with your eyes open, and we'll do other practices at some point with open eyes. But even with eyes open, see if you can still get a sense of what we were just doing. You know, you might notice the bottoms of your feet, and it's like, wait, is there anything below there that I'm not just adding on as a mental image? I don't think so. I can still feel that openness. Or what about what's behind me? You know, I'm not touching all the furniture back there right now, so it's just kind of mental image. Of course, I can see it on the screen. It's another visual image. And so again, this kind of process of noticing how your mind is just generating your reality moment by moment. Yeah, there's this way that it's like it generates too much. It feels like a survival mechanism. And I think when there's been trauma in particular, and all of us carry some kind of trauma in our bodies to a greater or lesser extent, there's kind of a baseline anxiety. Part of it's, I think, just being a mortal organism. You know, we carry in our nervous system just this kind of energy that's like constantly kind of trying to map, like, where am I? Where am I? Am I safe? Okay, is there a floor underneath me? Okay, yep. There's the room. And okay, I know where I am. You know, it's like this little thing that's like going on in the background all the time. And it's not like it's bad. You know, sometimes we need that, but other times we don't. And sometimes, a lot of times, we only need maybe like a little bit of it. And so it feels like there's kind of this, I don't know, non-duality is sort of like a minimalist approach to, it feels like cognitive bandwidth, you know, where it's like, let's just see how much we can take off our plates, so that there's a minimalism to just the vividness of very simple sensations. Okay, there's a visual sensation, hearing the sound of my voice, okay, feeling the pressure of my body, and yeah, all that other stuff. I don't need to make it right now. So it's a huge load off. It's a huge relief, and it really is great medicine to tap into this consistently. It's great medicine for the mind and body, because the spaciousness allows for contractions in the nervous system, room to open and to breathe. It also allows room for tangles of thoughts to open and expand and release, just like some butterflies in a jar that are just opened and released. So yeah, I'll pause there, and I want to open it up for any sharings or questions, reports, frustrations. Really, I'm open to anything. And I'm also going to turn on chat so that you guys have different options, so you don't feel like you have to speak. And let me remove my spotlight. Okay. So does anybody have a question or something they'd like to share?
Hi, Mira. This is Carlota. Can
Hello.
you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Good, good.
And Mike. Hi, Mike.
I was experiencing heat like in my body all over. Just like my palms are sweating. Like actually my body is sweating, my whole body. And I've had this before. I haven't been a really good sleeper, and I noticed that when I try to go to sleep, that this will happen. Like, I don't want to label it, anxiety, but that's, if we were going to, I guess that would be the word.
Sure.
And if I was going to have a thought about it, it's like anticipation, some anticipation. um, of whatever's going to happen next, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So just if you have any feedback or thoughts about it, or
Yeah. And it sounds like that's uncomfortable for you, would you say?
yes.
Yeah.
And it's gotten over time where I'm just allowing it and not having a good or bad around it as much anymore. So it has a little bit of different feel to it now, than before.
Got it. And tell me, so when you're going to sleep, is it sort of when you're about to fall asleep? Do you notice that similar feeling, like heat
Sometime,
or yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
sometimes, or I'll wake up just in the middle of the night with the with the sweats or the like it feels like a hot flash sort of ish.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks for your question and for sharing that. And let me first just say I'm sorry you're going through that. It sounds challenging. Um, and yeah, this is something that happens with meditation, with sleep. It's a kind of moment where the nervous system is reacting to a change in phase, right? So, um, if and I'm not asking you to disclose anything, but my guess would be there's something in your past, some kind of difficult experiences in the past that we might call some kind of trauma that may live in your nervous system. I think this is
Yeah.
true for everybody to some extent, and for some folks, it's a lot more intense. Because of very difficult experiences. And so when you have that kind of encoding in your nervous system, it lives in your body. And our nervous system is very sophisticated at coming up with all sorts of strategies for us to cope with that. And perhaps, it might be distracting ourselves from it or avoiding it or shielding ourselves, protecting ourselves from it. So in our day-to-day lives, especially if we are, a busy, normal, kind of modern person, like there's lots of things that keep our attention engaged, right? And when our attention is engaged in the flow of life, some of these deep feelings of lack of safety, or perhaps of deeper feelings of shame or insecurity, or panic, or things like that, they are there, but they might have kind of the lid on them because we are, you could say, distracted, like we're engaged in a conversation or work or a TV show or driving or whatever. And so when we finally give our nervous system a moment to just rest, sometimes for people who have that kind of buildup of energy, there is a kind of release of the energy that's there, right? So if you when you meditation can be very, very challenging. I know the first time I ever meditated, I was astonished by just the torrent of just like thoughts and just fantasies and all sorts of things coming through my mind, because I realized I'd been blocking. All of a sudden, my guard was down, the armor was off, and it comes right through. And so, yeah, sometimes when you give your nervous system permission to relax, and especially these kind of meditations can stir up feelings. That's probably something I should issue a little disclaimer about. Maybe I'll do that before the next one, because sometimes when you have had trauma, starting to let go of your familiar reference points, things very fundamental like the sense of gravity, the sense of space, it can start to trigger feelings of lack of safety. And sometimes when I do these exercises with clients, they'll tell me, "Oh, I'm feeling this kind of strange tingling going up, my stomach," or in your case, there's a bloom of heat, and ultimately I don't know what it is, but my guess would be that there's some kind of feeling of an old trauma response that is usually, suppressed in a functional way, a good way actually, that keeps you, active in your life. But it's sort of coming to the surface, and of course it feels very uncomfortable. And sleep is actually something very similar. That to go to sleep entails you need to feel safe to go to sleep, right? Like if you don't feel safe, I used to work in the VA with veterans, PTSD, combat trauma and stuff like that. And it's like, how can you sleep if you're nervous system is keyed up because you're worried, of an incoming attack or something like that. And so yeah, if somehow along the way your nervous system has been encoded with some lack of safety, then the surrender into a deeper stage of sleep, there can be some moment in the nervous system of like, is this safe? Can I really turn my consciousness off? Can my body really be still? What if I'm not safe? What if I'm attacked or something like that? And so yeah, that can come up. And so yeah, this is it's very challenging. And of course, this isn't like a deep therapy session, but if my advice to you would be, and perhaps you're already exploring this, but whatever you suspect there may be there, from traumatic material in your life, I think that needs some very tender and meaningful and energetic kind of work, and that could be the psychotherapy. It could be these kind of meditations, but in small enough doses that you're allowing the energy to come up and witness it, but it's not sort of like overwhelming you. Right. Or it could be other things like certain energetic practices like yoga or Tai Chi or things like that. But yeah, that would be my sense, is there's some kind of working through there. Of course, this is my bias as a psychedelic guide and therapist, is that I do think that in some cases there are energetic contractions. That's the best way I can describe them, or like they're almost like bundles, or if you want to use chakra terminology, you could say there's like chakras that are blocked or something like that. And sometimes, for some people, a lot of different energy work doesn't quite get there. And for some folks, that is a really helpful modality for a kind of rapid release of that kind of traumatic material. And what's interesting is when people do have a very rapid release of trauma, with psychedelics, a lot of times the very things you're describing are happening, in great kind of volcanic sometimes form, where there might be a huge bloom of heat, or there might be a lot of sweat or shaking or, vocalization or things like that. And that is this mysterious process nobody really understands, but it's somehow that energy is being released, from the body. So yeah. I hope that's helpful. Yeah. Yeah.
I think one of the things that you just said that is helpful is, feeling safe, but also just being super tender with myself and giving myself love, and, or just feeling that. I notice, that helps.
Yeah. Good. Wonderful. Yeah. Good. Okay. Thank you. Well, I try to make it my goal to end these around 10 minutes before the hour to give folks transition time. I need to get to my kids' theater performance. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. So yeah, thank you everyone for being here. And we will, of course, be reconvening next week and continuing on. And I like to say in conclusion for you folks, and also anybody who's catching this later on YouTube, that if you are really interested in joining a community to continue these conversations beyond the scope of this class, it's been really exciting and fun to create this new community through Patreon. And there's lots of different options and opportunities, everything from just a simple text chat thread through Signal, where you can chat with other people about these kind of topics and ask questions and make new friends and find, kindred spirits. And then we also have different opportunities to connect in more deeper, intimate ways, including a group over Zoom that's meeting once a month that I'm calling the Unjourneying Circle. And I just encourage you to check those resources out. And you can find that on my website, which is unjourneying.com. And specifically, the Patreon is unjourneying.com/Patreon, although it's pretty easy to find on there. Also on my website, there's opportunities to work with me one-on-one, doing coaching work and retreats. And I keep reminding folks to, if you wouldn't mind, try to follow and, or what's the term, subscribe to this channel, because I'm trying to get it to the point where I can take ads off of it. YouTube is very frustrating with this, because they will put ads until you get to a certain level at which you can take them off, and I'm not quite there yet. So once we get to 1,000, then I can make this uninterrupted, seamless experience. That's what I'm hoping to do, and get the ads off. So if you wouldn't mind, that would be really helpful. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, really grateful for your presence here, and yeah, hopefully I'll get a chance to connect with some of you in a deeper way, maybe one-on-one, or maybe in our Patreon community. All right, thanks everyone. Hope to see you next week.
Thanks,
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
everyone.
bye-bye.
Yeah.